Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is koolNews Primetime. I'm Karo, and we are live on Kool FM and News Radio 93.1, where we share the latest news headlines that care for you. Let's begin with the headlines. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa on Wednesday said he is still in the country but refused to disclose his exact location. In a phone patch interview with reporters on Wednesday, de la Rosa was asked about his whereabouts. At first, he declined to answer, dismissing the question by merely saying that his location was secret. He later on admitted that he's still in the Philippines. He said, without disclosing further details, I am here in the Philippines. It's a secret. Why would I leave the Philippines? The senator earlier refuted allegations that he was hiding from authorities following the arrest of his ally, former President Rodrigo Duterte, who was accused of crimes against humanity before the International Criminal Court in the Hague, Netherlands. De la Rosa said, then, I am not hiding, I'm just here. At the time, he said he was campaigning in the mountains of Surigao and Agusan. Attorney Cristina Conti, an International Criminal Court Assistant Counsel, earlier told Inquirer.net that De la Rosa and another former National Police Chief, Oscar Albayade, could be the next to receive arrest warrants from the ICC for crimes against humanity over the rules in the previous administration's drug war. Meanwhile, the palace on Wednesday offered a piece of advice to former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque: defend yourself first before defending others. This remark came after Palace Press Officer Clary Castro was asked in a briefing whether the government would block Roque's application for political asylum in the Netherlands. As of now, you may have already heard that Attorney Harry Roque will no longer be part of former President Duterte's legal team. If he had said that he would be there and wouldn't go home because he would represent his president, perhaps it would be better for him to represent himself first to defend himself before defending others, she responded. Well, anyway, regarding to his asylum, perhaps the palace will only react once a warrant of arrest has been issued and if he is indeed facing a criminal case in court, she added. In a press briefing on Tuesday, ACT Teachers Reportless Representative Fres Castro said the Magabayan bloc will urge the House of Representatives Squad Committee to counter Roque's application for asylum in the Netherlands. Representative Castro said Roque has to answer pending issues related to the four panel's investigation of his alleged links to Philippine offshore gaming operators of Logos. He was cited for contempt by the Quad Committee last September 2024 after he refused to submit documents that were deemed essential to the investigation of his alleged link to Logos. But on March 14, Roque was cited with Vice President Sara Duterte and Senator Robin Hood Padilla in The Hague, in the Netherlands, where former President Rodrigo Duterte was scheduled to stand trial before the International Criminal Court. Meanwhile, Mangakanon on Wednesday said the government is considering regulating social media posts amid the spread of misinformation and disinformation in the wake of former President Rodrigo Duterte's arrest and surrender to the International Criminal Court. In a palace briefing, Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Clary Castro said discussions are underway for a possible release of the guidelines for the measure. Castro said, yes, that's what we're talking about now. When asked if concerned agencies would come up with new policies to regulate the use of social media, Castro lamented that even the Supreme Court has become a victim of fake news following the circulation of social media posts about the false claims on the High Court's issuance of a temporary restraining order on Duterte's arrest and the petition seeking the resignation of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. She acknowledged that the government alone cannot address the issue, saying a whole-of-nation approach is needed to stop the spread of fake news. She said, it's not just the government that will fix this. We all have to work together so that we can eliminate all fake news. So we really need the help of social media, of the mainstream media, so that we can stop this kind of fake news from spreading, Castro added. Castro earlier said the PCO is coordinating with the National Bureau of Investigation and the Philippine National Police to investigate fake news peddlers. Speaker Martin Romeo Aldez on Wednesday reaffirmed the readiness of the House of Representatives prosecution panel for the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte in June. According to Romeo Aldez, the prosecution panel has meticulously reviewed the evidence and legal arguments to ensure a solid and fact-based presentation before the Senate impeachment court. The House has done its part in transmitting the articles of impeachment, and our prosecution panel is ready to present the case as soon as the impeachment court is convened, he said in a news release. We trust that the Senate will carry out its constitutional duty and proceed with the trial without unnecessary delays in accordance with the rule of law. Romy Aldis made the remark a day after House Secretary General Reginald Velasco and other House officials inspected the Senate facilities designated for the House prosecution team. He said, "We saw during our House Secretary General's visit to the Senate the readiness of our colleagues in the upper chamber. All early and proper preparations are crucial to ensure order during the impeachment trial." Velasco's team on Tuesday inspected the Senate session hall, which will serve as the trial venue, as well as the Senator Arturo M. Tolentino room, which is designated as the office for the House prosecutors. Romy Aldis reiterated that the impeachment trial is a solemn constitutional process that should be conducted with integrity and impartiality. He also reaffirmed the House's commitment to cooperating fully with the Senate to ensure a fair, transparent, and credible impeachment trial. Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla revealed on Wednesday that Malaysia refused to cooperate with the Philippines in providing information about the escape of dismissed Bambang Mayor Alice Guo, or Guo Huaping as her real name. Remulla made this statement when asked about the Bureau of Immigration's border control issues, particularly in light of reports that Harry Roque allegedly used the same route as Guo to leave the country. However, the Justice Secretary distinguished Guo's case from Roque's, stating that hers was a particular case. The case of Alice Guo is a very peculiar case because Malaysia refused to cooperate with us. Malaysia is supposed to give us information, he said in a Comprehensive Manila Bay Forum. They know what flight entered, what aircraft entered, what she was riding, but they refused to give it to us for reasons that were given, that were alluded to about the cases of our brothers in the SARC, so it's beyond the DOJ or the Department of Justice already, he added. Remulla said he was referring to a case involving a land dispute between Malaysia and the Sultans of Sulu. According to Remulla, the issue with Malaysia was also tackled by the government of Foreign Affairs, but to no avail. He said, "We face a stone wall." He then called on Senator Risa Hontiveros to try to understand the dilemma the BI faces. Hopefully, Senator Hontiveros will find it in her heart of hearts to understand the dilemma that the BI is facing in this case, said Remulla. And the Metro Manila subway project might be partially operational by 2032, Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon said on Wednesday. Dizon said that the completion of the project is unlikely to happen in 2028 when the term of President Ferdinand Bongbong R. Marcos Jr. ends. Dizon said in an interview with the Radio Servicio or Radio Estrenta, "There are a lot of delays. I saw the severity of the delays and we will have difficulty completing the subway by 2028. When asked about the realistic start of the operations, Dizon answered, "I think partial operations by 2032 are possible." He bear that the operations within the DOTR and solving the right-of-way issues are some of the delays he noticed when he assumed office as Transportation Secretary. There are a lot of delays in the operations within DOTR itself. There are delays between the DOTR and Japanese partners, Dizon added. The DOTR previously said that the entire 488.4 billion peso subway project would be fully operational in 2019. It was initially expected to be functional by 2028. And finally, the palace reminded Vice President Sara Duterte currently in the Hague, Netherlands, that she must continue fulfilling her responsibilities as the country's second highest official. Palace Press Officer Clara Castro said in a briefing on Wednesday, "I think she should consider that the Philippines also needs her as the Vice President. She should be working not just for her father, although it is acceptable and understandable what she is feeling right now. But she should also remember that she herself said millions of Filipinos voted for her and she also needs to serve them," she added. The office of the Vice President is once again under scrutiny after more alleged fake recipients of confidential funds, some with names seemingly inspired by food, were uncovered amid ongoing questions about non-existent beneficiaries. The list of questionable names include Jay Camote and Miggy Mango. On Wednesday's briefing, Castro said this needs to be investigated as the public deserves to know where their taxes go. If this was indeed discovered, it must still be proven because, as of the moment, we assume there is a presumption of regularity regarding this matter. However, since it is being questioned, VP Sara must prove whether these receipts are genuine or not, she said. Aside from this issue, Vice President Duterte is also set to face an impeachment trial after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s fourth State of the Nation address in July. It is now 10:41 p.m. as we will return with more news headlines right here on koolNews Primetime. Stay along with us. We will be right back. It is now 10:41 p.m. Welcome back to koolNews Primetime. Let's continue with the headlines. 51% Filipinos believe that former President Rodrigo Duterte should be held accountable for all the illegal drug-related killings waged during his administration, according to a survey by the social weather stations. The survey, released on Wednesday, was sponsored by Strat-based consultancy. The survey asked respondents how much they agree or disagree that Duterte should be liable for the killings related to the war on drugs. 51% respondents answered that they agree with the statement, with 32% strongly agree, 19% somewhat agreed, while 25% disagreed. 14% of the respondents were undecided, while 10% said that they were not knowledgeable enough to express their opinion. The social weather survey conducted face-to-face interviews among 1,800 registered Filipino voters aged 18 and above. 900 respondents came from Balanced Luzon and 300 each in Metro Manila, Visayas, and Mindanao. The survey has sampling error margins of 2.31% for national percentages, 3.27% for Balanced Luzon, and 5.66% each in Metro Manila, Visayas, and Mindanao. The Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office officially launched Responsible Gaming Awareness Day on March 10, 2025, theme Play Smart, Play Safe. This initiative highlighted the agency's commitment to fostering a culture of mindful play and player protection. PCSO is dedicated to ensuring that gaming remains an enjoyable and safe activity while generating funds for charitable causes. PCSO General Manager Mel Robles emphasized that gaming is not just about numbers and luck, it's fundamentally about people. We continuously refine our strategies to prevent potential problems before they arise, he said. Responsible gaming is not merely a policy, it is a core principle embedded in PCSO's operations, Robles added. From employee training to game design, marketing, and stakeholder engagement, every initiative reflects this commitment. Last year, PCSO achieved Responsible Gaming Level 2 certification from the World Lottery Association, underscoring its dedication to promoting a secure and responsible gaming environment. To support this ongoing advocacy, PCSO has implemented several measures to promote responsible gaming, which are employment training. Staff are equipped with skills to identify and address problematic gaming behaviors, while authorities agents are trained to encourage safe play. Next, game design. PCSO's games incorporate responsible gaming principles, including clear rules, age verification, and features that promote mindful play while discouraging excessive spending. Ethical marketing. All promotional efforts are conducted with integrity, ensuring messages are appropriate and do not target vulnerable individuals, especially minors. And accessible resources. Players are provided with information and resources about responsible gaming and where to seek assistance. In celebration of Responsible Gaming Awareness Day, PCSO organized various initiatives to engage employees, stakeholders, and the public with public displays. Banners promoting responsible gaming were showcased at the PCSO main office and across official social media platforms. Social media engagement. The PCSO youth and the public joined the conversation using the hashtags PlaySafe, PlaySmart, PlayResponsible, and Responsible Gaming to raise awareness online. Employee training. Specialized training sessions were conducted for PCSO officials and staff to reinforce their role in advocating responsible gaming practices. And finally, brochure distribution. Informative brochures on responsible gaming were distributed at PCSO booths, accompanied by small tokens to encourage public engagement. PCSO also encouraged its stakeholders, Lotto outlets, STL stations, and authorities agents to actively support the campaign. The journey toward responsible gaming is continuous, requiring collaboration and accountability. PCSO remains dedicated to enhancing its initiatives, adapting to evolving challenges, and ensuring that gaming remains a source of entertainment while prioritizing player well-being, Robles said. Gaming should be exciting, enjoyable, and above all, safe. Through education, prevention, and advocacy, PCSO reaffirms its commitment. Play smart, play responsibly. For more information about PCSO's responsible gaming initiatives, you can head over to www.pcso.gov.ph, or you can follow their respective social media pages on the platforms. Malacanan on Wednesday said it will not oppose former Senator Lionel De Lima's intention to testify in the trial of former President Rodrigo Duterte before the International Criminal Court. Palace Press Officer Clara Castro said, maybe if she voluntarily does that and it's allowed by the ICC under the leadership of its prosecutors, we will not oppose it. At a Banco Pilipinas Lawyer briefing on Tuesday, Attorney Dino De Leon said De Lima already submitted evidence to the ICC and is ready to testify if summoned. He said, Senator Lionel De Lima is willing to cooperate with the ICC. Senator Lionel De Lima was the first to have the Devil Death Squad investigated. She said that illegal drugs must be eradicated, but widespread killings are not the solution. The Department of Budget and Management has approved the release of a 16.890 billion peso special allotment release order to cover the funding requirements for increased subsistence allowance of Armed Forces of the Philippines personnel. The release of funds is authorized under Executive Order Number 84, which President Ferdinand Bongbong R. Marcos Jr. signed on March 14. Budget Secretary Amanda Pangadaman said, as quoted in the press release on Wednesday, "This is a great hope to the families of our soldiers. Imagine, the last time they received an allowance increase was back in 2015, already a decade ago. That's why we express our gratitude to President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. for the swift approval of the executive order, which grants the authority to increase the allowance of our military personnel," she added. Under EO number 84, the administration has observed that the current substance allowance of AFP personnel is no longer sufficient to meet the daily substance of an active duty soldier. The increase in subsistence allowance targets to protect and promote their welfare and recognize their sacrifices for the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And now it's time for the sports headline. World number one Jannik Sinner will play the ATP tournament in Hamburg from May 18 to 24 after his doping ban ends in the build-up to the French Open, organizers confirmed Tuesday. For the first time in his career, Jannik Sinner will compete at the 2025 Hamburg Open, tournament organizers confirmed on social media. The 23-year-old agreed to a 3-month ban in February after admitting partial responsibility for team mistakes, which led to him twice testing positive for traces of the banned anabolic steroid psilocybin in March 2024. The reigning US Open and Australian Open champions suspension ends on May 4, allowing him to return in time for the French Open, the second Grand Slam event of the year. The clay court tournament in Hamburg will be Sinner's second event after his return, as he will also compete on home soil at the Italian Open in Rome from May 7 to 18. Sinner reached the French Open semifinals last year. This year's tournament is scheduled to run from May 25 until June 8. And the Dodgers were a long way from Los Angeles on Tuesday, but with Shohei Ohtani and 2 more Japanese stars, they were the home team for Tokyo fans in the historic season opening with 4-1 victory over the Chicago Cubs. Ohtani had 2 hits and scored twice, with starter Yoshinobu Yamamoto getting the win for 5 innings work. The 5 Japanese players in total with the 2 clubs marked the highest representation for the country in the 6 times Major League Baseball has held season openers in Japan. The starting pitcher showdown between countrymen Yamamoto and Shota Imanaga for the Cubs was another day one first. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said of the pitching matchup, I just think it's great for the game. I think Japanese baseball with American Major League Baseball, this is as good as it gets. I am Just very grateful that we could be a part of this moment in time and making history. Yeah. And that's the sports headlines. And now let's get into back into the national headline. And finally, to close up the edition of koolNews Primetime, we will be ending with this headline. A police officer vlogger who is a supporter of former President Rodrigo Duterte is now facing 5 administrative cases aside from sedition, according to the Quezon City Police District. The QCPD had earlier filed a criminal complaint of inciting to dissection against patrolman Francis Steve Fontillas for his controversial social media post after Duterte was arrested at the request of the International Criminal Court last March 11. QCPD Director Colonel Melasio Bulix Jr. said in a press conference in Caringao on Wednesday, aside from the criminal case that patrolman Francis Steve Fontillas is facing, he is now facing 5 administrative admin cases. The QCPD director explained that 4 cases were already referred to the National Police Commission or NAPOLCOM, 1 for grave misconduct, 1 for conduct unbecoming of a police officer, and 2 for less grave neglect of duty. The district police chief said the grave misconduct case stemmed from any act that constitutes a crime punishable under the revised penal code. Additionally, the QCPD said the case for conduct unbecoming of a police officer stemmed from any act that seriously compromises his character and standing in the PNP. Further, according to the QCPD, the 2 cases of less grave neglect of duty stem from failure to comply with any lawful order or instruction of a superior office and willful in violation of the Philippine National Police guidelines in social media use. It is now 11:01 p.m. and that is it for koolNews Primetime tonight. We will return with more news headlines tomorrow with koolNews at noon, at koolNews at 6, and koolNews Primetime at 10:30 p.m. You can also send us your comments and suggestions at feedback through our email at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. Until tomorrow, I am Kyle, and this has been koolNews Primetime, and the fun and the music continues right here on Kool FM. This is your station. This is home. Good night.
Sobrang lati